So one of the things I want to share is also, and I do this on all of our Zoom calls. We do have health insurance navigators in the community to help people sign up for affordable health insurance on the federal marketplace, on Florida Kid Care, and on Medicaid. And the way to access those free and unbiased navigators is to call 321-615-3764. I will put that number in the chat for anybody who is searching to help somebody get health coverage. I will also share that there's a special enrollment right now for anyone that makes less than 150% federal poverty level. Those individuals between 100 and 150% federal poverty level at this point in time do not have to provide what normally is required for special enrollment period, which would be a change of life situation. They can sign up and get coverage. I've said enough about that. I'm going to pass it over to Kim and then also to Courtney, so they can share with us about what I see is extremely important right now in terms of pedestrian and bicycle safety.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you for letting us be here. Pedestrian bicycle safety is something that we try to get the opportunity to talk about any chance we can. I can tell you, as somebody that reviews the crashes here in Brevard County, pedestrian bicycles and motorcycles, which are our most vulnerable road users, made up 53% of our fatalities last year here in Brevard County. So what we're going to do today is we've got a two-part presentation for you. Myself, I'm going to cover pedestrian safety, and then my friend, longtime friend Courtney Reynolds from Rethink Your Commute is going to cover bicycle safety. Courtney, would you like to say a few words before we start the presentation?
Well, I just thank you, Keith, for inviting me here, and very interested in any questions that people may have after they hear from Kim and I. So take it away, Kim.
Yeah, I would say that as well. Those of us that do bike pit safety, we could spend a whole day talking about ins and outs. And so this is a kind of a way high level approach, but when I'm done with my presentation, I will open it up for questions, but then I will be on for the entire time. So if you think of something, if I don't cover something in particular that you want to hear about, just ask us when we're done. So I'm going to see if I can get my presentation up and running here. All right, can we see it?
Yep, I see it.
Yeah, we see it.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So again, welcome. Thank you for being here. Pedestrian safety, as I mentioned, is something that is extremely important to us here in Brevard County. I work for the Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization. We do long-range traffic planning, which means planning roads, almost everything up to construction, but we're also very heavily involved in traffic safety. We've had a very involved bicycle pedestrian safety program for 25 plus years. And we're very proud of that. We want to keep going and continuing to talk to people about something that is taking too many of our family and loved ones from us. So first off, you guys most of you are probably in the Mayor's Fitness Challenge, and congratulations for that, getting out there, getting healthy, making your body feel better. So we're going to talk a little bit about health benefits of walking. Walking obviously is something that's extremely good. It's low impact. It's not being somebody with two bad knees that need to be replaced. Low impact is what you're looking for a lot of times. It's not too hard on the joints, but it also can serve to lower your blood pressure, cholesterol, helps the heart, gives you endorphins, which makes you happy. And of course, it can either help you with weight loss or to manage your weight. Oh, pedestrian fundamentals. And this is kind of where you hear a split from what you'll hear Courtney talk about with bike safety. And that is, one, if there's a sidewalk in place, you have to use it. That is written in law. If there is no sidewalk, you have to walk facing traffic and as far from the travel lane as possible. And that does not mean in that area between if there's a paved shoulder, that line that runs down the side of the road, you are supposed to be off the pavement. All right, so crossing the street. A lot of this you probably heard the very first time that you were taught how to cross the street, but you know what? Doesn't matter what signs or signals are in place. The basic rules always apply. You need to try to use a crosswalk where there's one available. You always stop at the edge or the curb. You look both directions for traffic, and if you happen to be at an intersection, right turning vehicles are a real problem for pedestrians that might have a signal and that vehicle doesn't yield to them. So check over your shoulder, especially at an intersection before you walk out. And this is a big one. You need to, once you get in that crosswalk, walk straight on across, keep going, just, go across the street and get across the street. Don't turn around. No exceptions, don't turn around, because what happens, the cars that maybe were waiting to turn right, they think you're gone, and people get in a problem when they get, oh, I forgot something. The best thing to do in that situation, go on across and then cross back to the other side of the road. The only exception, obviously, to this would be, if you ended up seeing a car that was coming for you, and then I would say turn around and try to get out of the way. And just like we're trying to tell our vehicle drivers, you need to stay alert and not be distracted, especially when you're in that crosswalk or crossing the road. So there's basically two different types of places where people end up crossing the road, and that would be controlled. You're going to see that typically at intersections where you have signs or signals, or an uncontrolled, such as the picture on the right, which is a mid-block crossing. And I'm sure you can see there in that picture that they have the signals there. That is not a controlled, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that particular signal here in just a minute. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with this. All of our intersections, or at least most of them, I would say 99% of the intersections here in Brevard County that have pedestrian signals have these pedestrian countdown. The top left, you see it, you have that hand would be flashing, and you see the time there remaining. That's the time until the cycle is complete and you need to be out of the roadway. But on the bottom right here this sign should be near every button that you push to get the pedestrian signals to work. And I don't know if people read it, but a lot of people really don't know where they should be and what they should be doing at the different phases. So let's take a look at that. So when you get we call the walking man symbol up there, that means, and when I talk to kids, I always say, what does that mean? And they're like, oh, that means, it's safe to go. And I said, no, it doesn't mean it's safe to go. It basically means it's your turn to go. And again, I go back to those right turning vehicles and things like that at intersections. You do have the right of way at that point. But of course, as a pedestrian, you are vulnerable and you would want to make sure. We get a lot of complaints into our office, but it doesn't stay white very long. No, it doesn't. It's really only intended to give the people that are on the curb already the time to get off the curb into the crosswalk. Then it goes to the flashing and displays the timer of how much time. Now, if you come up, this was one of the, I guess, consequences of these countdowns is people see that, oh, 5 seconds, I can do that. And they take off running. That's not how it's supposed to work. It is Once it starts flashing, you are not supposed to leave the curb. And then, of course, once you have that steady red hand, you should not be crossing, and you should be all the way to the other side of the road. All right. Rectangular rapid flashing beacons. If any of you live on the beach or drive the beach, you have seen a series of these that have been put in over the past couple of years. There are a few others throughout Brevard County. These have received a lot of discussion here in Brevard County, particularly about the color of the lights. But the bottom line is, when these are placed in place and people use them, both pedestrians and motorists, as they're intended to be used, they are very effective at calling attention to the crosswalk. And the pedestrians, when we go into areas where these are, they actually like the fact that we're calling a little bit more attention to the crosswalk. So the question, I'm just going to answer the question about why are they yellow and not red? Really, these are only intended to call attention to the crosswalk. I kind of compare it to a school zone. A school zone has a yellow flashing light. And when you see that, what do? You slow down and you watch for school children in the area. Same thing here. These are yellow lights. If you're in a vehicle and you're approaching one of these and you see the yellow lights, you need to look for pedestrians. If there are no pedestrians, then you are permitted to go ahead and go through this crosswalk while those yellow lights are flashing. They truly are yellow lights. They're not red, and red means to stop. So that's how those work. As a pedestrian in this type of mid-block crossing, or anyone that is over a 4-lane road like you have here, I mean, actually, this is probably a 5-lane segment because in areas it has the multi-directional turn lane in the middle. Be very aware of the car in the inside lane. Now, Florida law says whether you can see somebody in a crosswalk or not. If a car in one lane is stopped, you are required to stop. But that does not happen. And that is another area where we have a lot of problems with either near misses or pedestrians getting struck. So, don't count on that as a pedestrian. Again, we want to stop, make sure traffic is stopped before you go out there. And then, as you continue to scan, make sure that second lane would be stopped as well. So what other kinds of things do we do other than talk to you nice people on a Friday morning? Again, we have a school-based program. We go into the schools. The picture there on the left is of our Head Start program. Those are actually 3- and 4-year-olds. So the federal government understands the importance of pedestrian safety, and it is actually mandated that 3- and 4-year-olds have pedestrian safety. And we actually go and do that and partner with Brevard schools to do that. And we also have a program that runs up through the elementary into middle and high schools that we can do pedestrian safety with those folks. We do a tremendous amount of health and safety fairs. We'll come out and present to any community organization or at events. We work a lot with scouts and that type of thing. And the picture there on the right is of a pop-up we did at a crosswalk in Melbourne Beach. We're actually going to be doing some of those coming up here in a week or so in honor of Florida Bicycle Month. And we just kind of show up at a crosswalk and we talk to people and make sure they understand the laws and the rules. And sometimes we have some goodies to hand out. We have a lot of fun doing that. We also do those type of events for things like Stop on Red Week and things like that. We just go out and, just gather a bunch of people and go out and talk to whoever we might see walking around or show signs for car drivers and things like that. All right, so if you would like to follow the TPO, we have lots of digital media channels, Instagram, LinkedIn, or no, excuse me, we don't have Instagram. That's the one we don't have, but we have Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. A lot of information you can get from the TPO. If you went to our website, you could sign up for our newsletter, but we try to follow road construction efforts, road closures right now, We're getting a lot of closures at the tracks for the Brightline construction. So we try to follow all of that. So if you tune in to one of these channels, you can get a lot of information about things that are happening in the transportation world in Brevard County. All right, does anybody have any questions that they have right on the top of their head right now?
Are you ready to go get your breakfast? Come on.
I am ready for my breakfast though.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So not hearing any questions, or Angelica, are you seeing anything in the chat?
No questions at this time, just a comment on great information.
Okay, great. So if you wanted to get in touch with me, I'll leave it here for just a second. My email and Keith, you guys, I know you're in touch with Keith. Keith sends a lot of emails. And there's my phone number. So if you were interested in getting more information or having a presentation of some kind, give me a shout and I'll be happy to help. All right, so next up again, I'm going to reintroduce you to Courtney Reynolds with Rethink for Bicycle Safety.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. Well, happy to be here. And I guess I'm wearing many different hats, including the Dayglow hat, and primarily representing the Florida Bicycle Association. So it's FBA for short. We're actually celebrating our 25th anniversary, believe it or not. I will make a joke here about being much older than just 25. But if you haven't heard about FBA, it's really our mission to encourage more people to bicycle through education and advocacy. So opportunities just like this, Keith, thank you so much for reaching out to Becky Alfonso, our executive director. Our vision really is for bicycling to be safe, accepted, and encouraged in Florida. We really feel those three pillars are key to fulfilling the promise. To me, biking, it puts a smile on my face, and I think it could make a lot more people smile as well. We have 4 areas that we do focus on around protecting and advancing the interests of cyclists. So that's our work in the advocacy area, educating the public through opportunities like this, encouraging the creation of great places to ride. Like if you can see over my shoulder down in Kissimmee, Florida, and then also just being a well-managed organization. A little bit about me on the next slide, Kim. I do serve on the board of the Florida Bicycle Association as the board president, working in support of that mission and goals. I'm also a cycling savvy instructor. And so that's hopefully you can still hear me. That's a certification through the American Bicycling Education Association. I think I got all that straight. And I also recently became a league certified instructor, LCI, through the League of American Bicyclists. And my day job and my Dayglow shirt is the project director of Rethink Your Commute. And I've been riding my bike for most of my life. So that's a picture of me as a 5-year-old on my very first bike. And if you started riding when you were a kid as well, how you ride as an adult, it's likely going to be a very different experience. Next slide. Oop. I wanted to start first in talking about bicyclist laws to cover the basics of this driver duties. We're not going to read through all that text on there, but if you are interested in looking up the Florida statute, there's the numbers there, 316.130, section 15, and 316.1925, the first section there. And ultimately, this says that if you're driving a vehicle, you've got to drive it with care and be safe. And be especially safe if there's children in the area or some sort of obviously incapacitated person. The other part of it too is you'll drive in a manner that makes sense with the conditions on the road. So if you've got a curve, slow down. If it's dark, slow down. The thing that applying this to when you are driving your bike is that in Florida, and we'll go to the next slide, Kim, a bicycle is a vehicle, which means you're a driver too. So we have the same rights, yes, but also the same responsibilities. And essentially, if you are a driver of a car, we're going to apply all those same ideas around the rules of movement to when you're driving your bicycle. So the basics. Click to the next one, Kim. We're going to drive on the right. Now, if you remember, Kim talked about the pedestrian laws that if there is not a sidewalk for pedestrians on foot, you're supposed to walk against traffic. You may have grown up being told to bike against traffic, but that is a no-no. It's against the law. And there are also a number of factors that can contribute to an unsafe situation if there is a collision. So we're going to drive on the right. We're going to pass on the left. We're also going to position ourselves for our destination. And that's a little funny way of saying, if you need to take a left-hand turn, you want to move into that left-hand lane. You're not going to take a left-hand turn, hopefully from the right lane or a bike lane on the right and then swoop across traffic. No, you want to really position yourself for left, or if you're going straight, or if you're going right. There's also the concept of first come, first served. And that applies both when you are traveling in a lane, whether you're in a buggy, a horse cart, a bicycle, or a Hummer. If you're there in that lane, you have the right to be there. Well, we will yield before changing lanes, before entering the roadway, and definitely before taking those left turns to cross through traffic. And I always like to tell people that my 4-year-old husband, this was news to him, that if you come up to a 4-way stop and you're not sure who goes first, you yield to traffic on the right. So these are the essentials, those building blocks that govern how we drive on our roadways, no matter what vehicle you're in. And that picture there, that is my 2 sons learning the signals, left turn and right turn, and all the different options there. Last year when we were a little stir crazy, still staying inside. Next slide, Kim. All right, so here's the details. There won't be a quiz today, but there may be a quiz in the future as you go out and you try to apply these. And so Florida Statute 316-2065 gives us some bicycle specific language about when we are driving our bicycle, where and how we're supposed to ride. Let's hit the first button there. And so in Florida, we are one of the few states that does have a mandatory bicycle lane law. It states that if there's a bicycle lane there and we're going straight and there's no hazards, that we're supposed to use that bike lane. Now, the kicker here is that you may see paint on the side of the road. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bicycle lane. So you have to have that stamp. I'll show you a picture of that soon. And theoretically, there needs to be the minimum width of 4 feet and on local roads, and you may get up to 5 feet. But if you see that stamp of the bicycle man and you can't quite make it out, that may be a clue that that's not actually enough space to operate. So the other part, next click there. So let's say there are no bicycle lanes. 316-2065 says that we're supposed to drive our bike as close to the right-hand edge or curb as close as practicable. Now that practicable language there is being able to be done in the situation there. So there are reasons that it may not be practicable to be riding right on the right edge for a number of reasons. And it lists it right here, what the exceptions. So go ahead and click through. And one more. So when we talked a little bit earlier about those essentials in the building blocks of driving on the right, but passing on the left, if you're in a bicycle lane or you're on the right-hand side of a travel lane, if you needed to pass, you're going to need to go out to the left. So preparing for that left turn or when passing a slower vehicle. There also are a number of reasons when it may be reasonably necessary to not be on that right-hand edge of the lane, because the things that collect there will be debris, sand, sometimes broken glass, all sorts of things that can make for a bad day on your roadway, on your trip. Let's click through one more. Oop. Kim, there we go. And then we'll do one more and show the pictures here. So I wanted to highlight these 2 things. The picture at the top, yes, that is a bicycle lane, but if you can kind of see all the kind of overgrowth, goodness, there's all sorts of sand, things that can make you fall. And that's a situation where for me, that would be a reasonably necessary reason to exit that bike lane so that I can just have a steady path in a straight lane straight line and not have to kind of keep going back and forth to dodge that sand in that bike lane. The other things that you will find as you ride around in bike lanes is that there may be on-street parking right next to that bike lane. Should somebody open that door, you could be struck. Hopefully you could avoid it, but worst case scenario, even if you do wobble and try to avoid it, that lane next to you may have a vehicle traveling at a higher speed, or if that open door clips your handlebars, you don't want to be thrown out into traffic. So these are things to look out for. And so yes, the law says ride as far to the right as practicable, except when it doesn't make sense. So I imagine you may have questions about that afterwards, and we'll be happy to navigate that together because it could be confusing. And Kim, I think we'll go one more slide and we'll click one more, because there are so many additional laws when it comes to driving, period, and driving your bicycle. It's knowing what's legal, but also understanding what's safe and what are some strategies to be safe and legal. And so you make it home safely at the end of the day. I encourage you to learn more about the Florida Bicycle Association at floridabicycle.org. As I said, we are celebrating our 25th anniversary, and we do, we're here to serve our members. You can join as a member. We'd love to have you on board. And Kim, I'll see if I think that's my last slide. See if we have any questions.
And please unmute yourselves. I went ahead and muted everybody during the presentation.
I would just like to say, we have talked about some bicycle and pedestrian laws today. I'm happy if anybody contacted me. The Alert Today Florida, which is the state coalition for bicycle pedestrian safety, publishes a really nice trifold brochure that contains almost all of the bike ped laws. I think all of them. The newest version even has the laws that are governing e-bikes right now. So if you wanted to contact me, and Angelica could probably put my email in she probably knows it well enough to figure it out to put it in the chat. You could send me an email and I can either send you a digital link to that or a physical copy of that brochure. It's a really nice, handy brochure to have.
And that's perfect timing, because I already did put your email in the chat, as well as we have a specific question on how to e-bikes factor into all that. I know you said you had a guide, but I wonder if like Courtney or yourself could just kind of do a quick overview of that.
Well, I'll try to tackle it, and Kim, you add on there if I
No,
don't quite get it right.
I'm gonna let you take care of that one.
Yeah. So I believe it was last year, Florida did pass some language to define 3 different classes of e-bicycles. And so there's class 1, class 2, and class 3, and it's going to confuse you. So a class 1 e-bike is a pedal assist. And so you have a electric bike where you have to pedal, but it will stop the assist at 20 miles per hour. Okay. Class 2 is a bike that is just a throttle. You don't have to pedal. It's those class 2 ones that some people may challenge whether or not that's even a bicycle. A class 3 is back to pedal assist up to 28 miles per hour. And so they're also, when they are sold, they're supposed to be labeled when you go into the bike shop, class 1, 2, and 3. That's important because in the state of Florida, you can, e-bike is a bicycle, but the local municipalities can set different local ordinances. And so just as in Florida, you can ride your bike on the sidewalk, but check the local ordinances, especially in places where there's a lot of traffic, just pedestrian traffic, like downtown areas. Maybe there's cafes on the sidewalk, people traveling. That's usually a clue that there might be a local ordinance saying, please do not ride your bike on the sidewalk, because the difference between you on foot versus you on a bike is speed, and that applies whether it's in a travel lane with a car or with people. And so they are bikes. I believe the state, state park system does have some restrictions. So if you're going out with your e-bike, I'd say do some research, but also try them out. What I find for e-bikes is for people who have some fitness issues or are just not quite in there, or maybe they used to be really able to be mobile, but maybe have some situations where they're not as mobile. An e-bike can really open up a lot of opportunities, but you still have to be equipped to handle them.
Can I jump in here real quick? I did see somebody join us that I want to give a shout out to, Rachel Winston, who is the PE curriculum coordinator for Brevard County Schools. I want to give her a shout out. There's her video. When I talked about the school-based program that we have in place, Rachel is the reason that goes. I tell you, I get questions all the time about how do you do it in Brevard County? And I have to give all the credit to the school board. And so, Rachel, I saw you jump in, and I just wanted to give you a public shout out for all your support of bike ped safety here in Brevard County.
I have a question. Great information, by the way. What I wanted to know is, how can I share this video with my coworkers?
Well, I think we're going to record it, but I can, one of the resources that is available through Rethink Your Commute, my day job, we actually work with employers to talk to them about different options for their employees around all transportation. When it comes to biking and walking, safety is absolutely essential. So we'll actually come out to the work site. We can either, we usually end up partnering with Kim, and we have helmet fitters. We can do bicycle helmets fittings to talk about injury prevention, but to talk about, or I'm sorry, yes, injury prevention, but also crash prevention. So talking more about the laws at length and giving people opportunity to ask questions. But Keith, this gets recorded, right, and posted?
Yeah, I'm recording this, and it will be posted on the Mayor's Fitness Challenge Facebook page shortly after.
And Angelina, I will also say that I know Angelica said she put my email in there. If you get that and email me and you're looking for something in specific, there are all kinds of videos out there. I can help you with good ones that are up to date, and literature and that kind of thing.
Well, I work for Career Source Brevard, and my staff, I think, at first I was hesitant to attend, and just listening to the rules that we have, I was aha moments that I had there. So I think it will benefit them to listen to it at least, and they'll have probably some aha moments, or maybe they're smarter than me. That I
Yeah, well,
great.
Yeah, and if you have gathering time or staff meeting time or something where you actually wanted a hands-on presentation, we could do that as well.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies.
Kim, we answered all the questions. They're going to be safe on foot and on wheels.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not seeing any more in the chat, but again, if you'd like to unmute yourself, you can, or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you're welcome to just put it in the chat and I'll share that for you. We do have another comment in the chat, and this was just a comment during the presentation that says their worst enemy as a pedestrian or biker are those tinted windshields. So
yeah, good point. I know when I talk to the kids about making eye contact with drivers and things like that, I tell them to understand in Florida we do have a lot of tinted windows. I'll even put on my sunglasses and ask them, am I looking at you? And then the discussion comes that they really don't know because I have sunglasses on and they can't see me. So I say, hey, if it's a matter of waiting for a car, you're talking a couple seconds, just let them go and then find your next gap. So good point. All right.
Well, that sounds like it. Thank everybody for participating, and thank you, Kim and Courtney, for your presentation. I will go ahead and stop the recording, and then we'll end the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Keith.